I don't know what you guys do if your team's ever like this, or if you see a team that is like this, how you view it. My Oregon State Beavers went to Gonzaga last night and lost by 38. And by the way,
they did, yeah.
Zags pulled starters and basically stopped themselves from maybe winning this game by 50. And I text your buddy Cash, who's a big Zags fan and loves to pipe in when Zags talk happens, and I said, yeah, after the win
12 days ago in Corvallis.
I said, you guys are going to house us when we go to the Kennel. Like, it's okay. Maybe not your favorite loss, but it happens. Oregon State will win the national championship if they could play the WCC tournament and the NCAA tournament at Gill.
Only at home.
Only at home.
Only home games.
But what do you do about this? Because I have stopped myself from honestly caring a whole lot. I think this is a very fraudulent situation. Their schedule's kind of lining up. Like, their road test next is like Portland. They're going to win that game.
Are we sure about that?
They'll just show up and win.
Are we sure? Are we positive about that?
The Pilots have like 7 wins this year.
Keep an eye out on those Pilots, man. They're feisty.
I'm sure Swag's going to tell us about some freshman that just scored 43 and why he's going to.
Is that an international off? Aren't both teams built through international means? That's the way that they go, because those players can't get NIL deals for some reason, so you don't have to pay them.
But I'm sincerely asking, what do you do with a team like Oregon State that quite clearly just can't win on the road and only can really win at home?
I don't know what to make of it.
Because Beaver fans are talking to themselves as a tourney team, and I'm like, guys,
the funny thing is,
you cannot be this fraudulent.
Now, I don't know how many of these games, I don't know how they treat tournaments in college basketball, because sometimes you have like a home team. I don't know how those are counted sometimes at records. According to when you look at the standings.
Those are neutral site.
Neutral site, okay. So they have only played 6 games this year on the road. 6 of their entire schedule. Oregon State's only played 6 games on the road overall.
It kind of feels that way. I feel like most of their games are at home.
They're
crazy.
13-1 at home. Yeah. They're 1-5 on the road. That's all they got. That's
the
it.
Tinkle era.
It is so confusing to me and a bit demoralizing, because 12 days ago you had one of the best wins of the Tinkle era.
And then
we talked about it after the next day. Everybody's feeling good. Tinkle after the game's like, this is why the fans got to come out. This is why you got to support us. And we all said, what are you going to do on Saturday night? What are you going to do down on the road in San Francisco?
Right.
And they lost by double digits to San Francisco. Then they returned home and won a couple of games at home. And you're like, hey, look at that. All right, we're still winning games at home. Now, can we go just be competitive? I joked yesterday on the show, if I could have gambled that game, I would have bet every penny in my account on Gonzaga to win.
Same.
They just lost 12 days ago. I don't care if the spread's 15. Oregon State can't sniff a basket on the road for some reason. I would have hammered Gonzaga. Can you be competitive in the game? Is that too much to ask?
They were down 20.
That was a 20-point game. I turned it off at halftime. I can't even tell you anything about the second half. The game was over with 4 minutes to go in the first half. Wasn't competitive in any way, shape, or form. I think if you go in and you put up a decent fight, you're like, hey, we covered the number. We lost by 7. I know moral victories probably don't matter to you at this point, but at least it was a good effort. I mean, that was embarrassing. You lost by almost 40 points last night.
So what do I do with this?
I don't know.
Are they going to have a resume good enough if they don't win the WCC to make the tourney?
No.
If they beat Portland in Portland, they beat San Diego, and they beat Pepperdine. Those are not great teams.
You have 4 remaining road. Your remaining road games are Portland, Pepperdine, San Diego, and St. Mary's. You got St. Mary's at the end of the year.
You're not winning at.
You got to win that game to get to the tournament.
But they're not going to.
They got to win. If they win that one,
but they're not going. You cannot lose by 38
and lose to San Francisco
and lose to San Francisco by
1-5 on the road.
You cannot tell me with a straight face that there's like any reason to have confidence they can win that game.
I don't know how to make sense of it. It's very weird to me.
If they don't win
this big of a split,
St. Mary's, then the only way they can get to the NCAA tournament is to win the WCC tournament.
But what?
And that's not going to happen.
What is that? Like, how can anybody explain why a team can do what they're doing?
No.
Not that they expect to beat Gonzaga, but like, when it's San Francisco, it's like
San Francisco's good, I'm sure, but
But to be like this home road thing, it's odd. It's bizarre.
It's very, very strange.
How can you do what you did at home to the Gonzaga Bulldogs, and then you go on the road against any middle to good team on the road, and you're dog crap?
Yep.
I just how can you explain that to me?
It's one thing to be a dominant team at home, and that's something you can hang your hat on, and it's great. You can't be.
They really need the crowd that bad? I mean,
if you could figure this out, you can make a lot of money, man. I feel like this. It's sans baseball, because baseball's been good at Oregon State for obviously a long time. I feel like this is who your football team's been for the last decade or so too.
I'll go check.
Like, I feel like there was a lot of
years
years with Jonathan Smith where you're like, hey, he's undefeated at home. And then they'd go on the road and you'd be like, hey, we needed that win to get to a bowl game. And
How
you
did
couldn't
we
get
lose
it done.
to Colorado? When
Yeah,
Colorado
like,
was
wait,
bad?
what? How did
Yeah.
you lose that? That didn't make any
Cal,
sense.
they-
Cal, you get smoked at Cal, and then you
Yeah.
come home and you beat Washington State. And you're
Yeah.
like, wait, what? Why? And I get it. It's easier to win games at home and you got the crowd behind you. But it's one thing, like, you just need to be serviceable on the road. Just be 500. Is that too much? That you played 6 games on the road?
You're not even close.
I'm not going to ask you to beat Gonzaga. Your other road loss, you lost on the road to North Texas. That was early in the season.
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
a
a buzzer beater.
bad game,
That
too.
was they could not shoot.
they
that
could
game
not
at
make a
all.
shot.
They lost by 20 to LMU.
Yeah.
Lost by a point
And
to
by the
Santa
way,
Clara.
I've been to LMU. It's not a big gym at all. It feels like
No.
200 people can fit in that place.
Your only road win this year was at Pacific, 91 to 55.
and Pacific is
Pacific
one
is
of the worst teams in all of college.
horrific. That is such a bad team. And you've even loaded your schedule up to the point where you've only played 6 road games this year.
I know, and they're really not going to play I mean, they got 4 left, and 3 of the 4 are against bad teams.
Played 23 games
They
this
somehow
year.
got the greatest road
Only 6 of them have been on the
schedule
road.
in college basketball.
And it doesn't matter. It's still not enough.